"What is it? What do you see?" I asked. "Not eggs, anyway," Deve said, her voice full of disappointment. "Some sort of weird-ass chicks with spikes instead of feathers. They don't seem to like the aroma I'm carrying very much. They're trying to back away from me." "Well, unless you want to try weird-ass spiky chicks roasted over a fire for dinner, maybe you'd best come down." There wasn't any argument from Deve. She nodded and started to look for an easy way down. Before she could begin her descent, a hideous screeching sound filled the air around us. Instinctively, I understood the danger. "Move!" I bellowed as I got into position, ready to launch my spear. We both knew that where there was a nest, there would likely be something nearby that didn't want us too close. But we thought we were safe because of the plant that we carried. And besides, we'd watched for some minutes before Deve had begun her climb looking for danger. Apparently, we hadn't been careful enough. A nightmare made of black spines and claws hurtled out of the canopy, shrieking like a banshee as it flung itself toward Dee. It was big, bigger than I would have expected going by the size of the nest, and seemed to be made up of fury and claws. "Fuck, fuck, fuck," Deve said, even though it was Jayla who was more prone to swearing. The athletic woman ducked low, but couldn't do much more than that. The knives in her belt were useless, and I was too far away to be of much help. At the last instant, the nightmare bird swerved away, buffeting Dee with nothing more than a gust of wind from its wings. Perhaps the protective aroma was still doing its job, but the danger wasn't over. The monster flapped its wings to gain altitude, swerving between branches as it circled around. "It's coming back!" I yelled. "Hurry!" Still shrieking, and with the chicks in the nest responding in kind, the nightmare bird came again. I waited until I had a clear shot, then hurled my spear with all of my strength. It was a good throw and exactly on target, but I was too far away. The nightmare bird had time to react. It tilted to one side, and my spear passed safely beneath its wing, to be lost within the trees of the jungle. I had a makeshift machete at my side as well, and would have drawn that to throw without hesitation. Anything to keep Deve safe. But the winged monster had closed the distance between itself and Deve, and this time it wasn't planning to pull out of its dive. "Deve!" I bellowed as the nightmare bird raked at the woman with its talons. Deve raised a hand to protect herself and cried out, but there was little she could do. The weight of the nightmare bird, combined with its aggression, was too much. Deve lost her grip and began sliding down the tree trunk. She cried out in anguish and fear, but didn't give up. She reached out, trying to grab hold of branches, doing her best to arrest her own fall. As for me, I dove toward the base of the tree, positioning myself beneath her as best as I could. Branches broke. Deve screamed again. The nightmare bird flew about in another circle. I reached out just as Deve crashed toward me, ass first, and we both went down in a tangle of limbs, the woman's weight crashing into my arms and my chest. For a moment, the wind was knocked out of me. Then I drew a deep breath, kick-starting my breathing again. Deve was on top of me, ass nearly in my face, legs splayed in different directions, and her head somewhere around my hips. She was panting loudly, a reaction to the fall she had taken. "Are you okay?" I asked her. "Yeah, I think I'm okay. Just banged up a little, I think. I guess I owe you my life once more," she said. Then she laughed. "And while I'm in a good position to repay you, maybe now isn't the time. I think I want to get away from that thing's territory and rest up for a bit." We untangled ourselves and clambered back to our feet, with me keeping an eye on the nightmare to make sure it wasn't going to attack. The monster was still shrieking, still circling its nest, but while it swooped low from time to time, those swoops seemed mostly for show. I could still smell the scent of our protective plant in the air all around us, and had no reason to suspect it wasn't doing its job. The nightmare bird had only attacked when Deve's proximity to its nest drove it beyond reason. It seemed that a maternal, or paternal, I had no idea which and wasn't interested enough to find out, instinct was common among creatures of many different worlds. As she dusted herself off, Deve grimaced and grumbled enough for me to repeat my earlier question. "You sure you're okay?" I pressed. "Apart from a bruised ego, you mean?" she said. Her character